Welcome to Tech Forum. In this video, let us deep dive into AEM OAuth server functionalities. OAuth 2.0 Adobe Granite OAuth server. OAuth is the protocol allows the user to grant a third-party website or application access to the user's protected resources without revealing their long-term credentials or even their identity. So this will be mainly used for APIs. So user can provide the access to third-party applications to their protected data through the APIs. So OAuth will have two main components. One is OAuth client and OAuth server. OAuth server will provide all this token generation and all those functionalities. So OAuth client will try to connect to OAuth server and get the required tokens and access the protected resources. So Adobe Granite OAuth 2 server. So this is the implementation, enables the support for OAuth 2 server functionalities in AEM. So AEM supports OAuth 2 server functionalities. So through this implementation, like Adobe Granite OAuth 2 server implementation, the package is com.adobe.granite.oauth.server. Okay, let's see now what are the supported grants. So the main component in OAuth is the grant. So now let's see what are the grants supported in AEM. So the first one is authorization code. So you can see the flow diagram here. So authorization code will help to get the authorization from the resource owner, and based on that, then resource it will provide a authorization grant. Then based on that, client will be able to get the access token and access the protected resources. So if you see here, the value of the grant type is authorization underscore code. Here three different parties are involved. One is resource owner, authorization server, resource server. So the resource owner is who is owning the resource. Then obviously authorization server and resource server, this is going to be the AEM now. So the client is any third party apps or client. So they need the access to this protected resources from this resource server that is owned by this resource owner. So if you see here, first request is for authorizing the request from the resource owner. If the resource owner authorizes the request, then they will provide a authorization grant. Using that authorization server will return access token. Using this access token, it's a kind of temporary access token, maybe valid for, let's say, 1 hour minimum, 1 hour or something that can be changed. So with that access token, the client will be able to access the protected resources. So this is about authorization code grant. The next one is the refresh token, or it is called offline access. So the value for that grant type is refresh underscore token. So here, so the previous flow we seen, the resource owner has to authorize. Then with that authorization code or the grant, the client will get a access token, and through that access token, the client can able to access the protected resource. So here the authorization is same, still resource owner has to provide authorization, but it is a one time. First time he has to authorize. So later point, the client will have a offline access through refresh token. But in the previous scenario, there is every time whenever they want to access, whenever the client want to access the protected resource, he need to have a valid access token. If let's say the access token validity is 1 hour, so after 1 hour if he need to access that, again he need to get the new access token by following the same flow, because he need to get again the authorization from the resource owner. So but if you see here, some cases, let's say if we need to download something or some data or something offline, but one time we need to get the authorization, this approach can be used. Here first step, we'll get the authorization from resource owner. Then second step, we will be getting a refresh token based on that authorization grant from the authorization server. Then with this refresh token, whenever required, we can get the access token. So we don't need to get the authentication or authorization from resource owner second time. Using this refresh token itself, we'll be able to get the access token. Then obviously with the access token, we'll be able to access the protected resource. So the next supported grant is JWT bearer token. So this is the grant type value here. So URN, ETF, params, OAuth, grant type equal JWT bearer. So this token is used mainly for example server to server OAuth integration. So for example, there is no there is a scenario like we will not be able to get a online resource owner authorization, then this JWT bearer token can be used. So example like we need to upload a image from a server to another server through what, or like we need to download some images from another server, so we can use this JWT bearer token. So here if you see, like the client itself is forming a JWT bearer token. So this JWT bearer token will be created based on some set of input data. Also this token should be signed by a private key, so that the authorization server can validate and like provide the access token. So once the client created the JWT bearer token with the corresponding private key, signing with the private key, so he can send it to the authorization server and receive the access token back. So through that access token, client can receive the or retrieve the protected resource from the resource server. Here if you see, there is no resource owner involved here, so because there is no online authorization required. So these are all the three grant types supported, but still OAuth supports other grant types, client like client credentials and other things are there, but AEM supports only these three for now. Okay, so now next important component in OAuth is the scope. Like scope means like what unit of work we are or like data we are exposing to the client. So now here, like in AEM by default, these are all the scopes supported. One is profile. So this scope will help you to get the basic user profile detail. Let's say like some client need the basic profile data of a customer. So the customer has to authorize obviously the first flow, like the authorization code flow, or even can go with the refresh token flow. But once he authorize, so using that access token, he can the client can retrieve the profile data. So for this scope is used, but this scope is inbuilt scope by from AEM. The second one is the offline access. This is again, as I already explained, this scope is used for like accessing the resources offline, like without resource owner interaction with the refresh token, whatever I explained. So but again, that offline access alone you can't use it, because offline access only will provide the capacity to receive the refresh token, and with the refresh token you can access the resource without every time going for a resource owner approval or authorization. But this offline access scope should be combined with other scope, profile or anything, or like custom scope to perform the corresponding operations. So the third one is replicate. Somehow I could not able to find the proper scenario for this, so I'm going to skip that. So this is also one of the default scope in AEM. Okay, the next one is the scopes custom. So these custom scopes in AEM provide the functionality to allow access to the client application for some resources, specific resources authorized by the end user. So here again, end user will provide the authorization so that the client can access some data or perform some operation on AEM. So in the previous slide we seen the default one. So obviously this is going to perform that specific functionality, but we can create a custom scope so that can be used for any other functionality. So for that, what we need to do is we need to do develop a class so implements this interface com.adobe.granite.oauth.server.scope with privileges. So there is another interface server.scope so, but if you need some privileges to be assigned to that particular scope, then obviously you have to go with this. If there is no privileges required, so then you can go with the scope. So that is one example as far as that. I think offline access, there is no privileges involved there. Now we need to implement the method get name. Now we can give some valid name to that. Example dam_read. So this will become the scope name. Like in the earlier slide, it was a profile. There is a name. So like that, this dam_read will become the name. Then again we can provide some description by implementing this get description method. So read a dam method. So some meaningful name we can give. So the next thing is the important, this method get resource path. So here we need to provide what is the parent resource path we are going to provide the access through this scope. So for me, like example, like let's say like I want to give access to the client OAuth client for this particular folder content dam Viritalian, so he will be able to access this. The last one is this get privileges. This is the important one. So on this resource, what kind of access we are going to this provide to this OAuth client. So example, you can give anything like JCR read, even JCR all is possible, but something like JCR read, if you want to enable a write access, rep colon write. So any access privileges you need, you can provide it. So like the after installing the class, you will be able to deploying the class, you will be able to use this dam underscore read custom scope also. Okay, so the next functionality maybe in AEM is the token revocation. So now like when we were talking earlier, so AEM will provide access token. So through that access token, the client can access the protected resources. Now some cases, let's say we need to revoke the tokens, whatever we provided. So that case, the scenarios can be used. The first one is client token revocation. So here like in AEM, like to provide or enable the OAuth functionality, we need to define a client. Okay, the client is the basic thing we need to we will be defining. So this client token revocation will help us to revoke the client tokens under that particular client. So let's say there is a client test. So that particular client provided some 10 tokens. So you want to revoke all, so you can do that. So this client token revocation will be done by the user who created that client. So that I will show you that in the demo. So the next one is revoking the individual tokens. So like this, you can go and revoke the individual tokens. Like instead of revoking all the tokens, you will be able to have an option. Revoke the individual tokens. So this will be done by who the resource owner, like who provided the token. The third one is like revoking the individual token through service. Like sometimes if you want to revoke the token, the specific token from the external service or through external client, so that you can use the service enabled by AEM. Through that you can revoke it. Okay, so the next thing is some important endpoints in AEM. So the first one is the OAuth client registration. So this is the URL that can be used for registering a client. Next one is question. So we were discussing in that grant type slides. Like first two scenarios, we need to get a authorization from the resource owner. So this is the URL. You can utilize or you can redirect the user to authorize the request. So here something like we will have a response type is a code. So it will provide back a code. So that code can be used to get the access token. And obviously we need to provide a client ID, and the scope is important here. So what is the scope this resource owner is authorizing? So profile or like custom scope, dam read, or like offline access, or whatever we can provide it. Then the redirect URI, the redirect URI is going to be configured in the client, whatever we are going to client ID or client app we are going to register. So same value should be provided here. So like here redirect URI, normally you can redirect after a successful authorization from the resource owner, where like he should be redirected. So normally this will be some external applications link, so that like once resource owner authorized, he will be redirected to that particular link, so that like that application is going to take this code and perform the operations like retrieving the access token, then through that access token connecting to the server again and getting the protected resource. So those are this app redirected URI app will be going to do. But in my case, I will be showing the demo, but in the demo I am going to use the curl commands to perform those operations. Like after receiving the code, so obviously I will not have any valid URL here. I will be configuring some random URL, so that URL will not be reachable, but I will be able to get this code, whatever the code I required. With that code, so I will be performing further operations like access token, protected resource accessing and all through curl command. But in real scenario, so this redirect URI should be pointing to real applications running somewhere. So that application is the client application. So that application is going to get the code in the return URL. So using that code, they can perform the further operation. Now the next one is the token endpoint. So this is the endpoint will be used to retrieve the token or token access token. Then the profile data. So already we discussed, this is one of the default scope. So this is the URL to retrieve the profile data for the user. Then there is a revoke token option, that third option through service. So this is a service that can be used to revoke the token. Okay. Now next thing, like maybe we can proceed with the demo. So I will be showing the demo on this mainly on the client registration, enabling the WAT server authentication handler, then profile data, how to retrieve the profile data, then offline access, then how to use the JWT bearer token to perform the server to server WAT, then developing some custom scope, like I will be going and showing how to develop a custom scope that will help us to do a read a image from the DAM and also upload a image to the DAM. Then like how to do the token revocation. Okay, let's start with the demo now. So for the demo, so let's go to the server. So let us first create a user. So for the demo purpose, go inside the security, go to the user. Let us create a user. Let me enter something. Enter all the possible data because we are going to perform like retrieve the profile data. It will help us to solve the demo. Okay, let me give all the possible data. Okay, job title. Okay, that's fine. Just to save this. Okay, now let us give some permissions. So okay, fine, that's already closed. I think that's fine. Let us provide some permissions. For that, again go here, security. I will go here, permissions. So this is like what are the user permission you can provide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide complete read access. Then I am going to do that demo on the content DAM, so the custom scope. So what I need to do is I will go to DAM. Even I am going to use the bretail folder, but anyway for demo purpose I will go and give read, modify, then like I will go and give this create also, then delete. Yeah, these are all the permissions to this content DAM folder. So let me save this. Okay, yeah, this is done. Now as a next step, what we need to do is the by default this Adobe Granite WAT server authentication handler is not enabled, so we need to enable that. For that, go into this console config manager. If you go to main, this one jobs, just click on that. If you see here, there is no WAT token. Yeah, it's not enabled. This is the login module. It's not enabled. So what you do is go and inside the OSI configuration, search for Adobe granite what server, server authentication handler. Just to go here, so just to change this JOS dot ranking dot name to 1100, so and save it. That's it. Now we'll enable this. Go back to main, click on the same thing job. So if you see here, now this is enabled. What to server login factory. Yeah, this is fine. Now yeah, that is enabled. Now what we need to do, now we need to register a client. So as I already told, that is the first step. So for that I was showing some URL. So this is the URL. I'll go to this URL, go here, so just click on, so here no clients are defined now. So what I will do is, maybe I will go with admin. I am using admin for anyhow registration. So remaining demo I can show with my new user. So click on new, test. I will just put something random. As I already told, this is not non-existing URL, but real time you need to provide the URL that is going to get the token or code and perform the further operation. Just click on save. Yeah, so this is fine. Just to note this value, maybe what is the client ID is required for the further operation. So just I will go and keep it here. This is the client ID. We need the client secret also. Note it. Yeah, done. Now let's see how to retrieve the basic profile details of the user. So what then we have to do is, as I already told, as a first step is authorizing the request. So this should be authorized by the resource owner. So for that, this is the URL, authorized response type code, client ID. Client ID we have it here. Just to copy and use this client ID. Then scope, if you see, it's a profile. Yeah, we are going to retrieve the profile. The return URL is fine. So that is whatever we configured. Okay, now just to copy this, I go into the new window because I want to log in with a different user. I will log my ID, whatever I created. So here if you see, view basic information about your account. So I am going to authorize that. I am fine with that. Yeah, so anyway, this is not a valid application, so it will be throwing error, but I am okay. So I will only copy this code. Now after code, you go to this is the URL, get access token. So just to replace this with code. If you see the URL like access code, then grant type is authorization code. So that's what. Now the next one is the redirect URI, same thing, whatever we done. Then client ID we need to specify. We'll copy this client ID. The next one is the client secret we need to specify. This is the client secret. That's it. Okay, just to go and execute this. This will give the access token. Okay. That's fine. Anywhere you can execute. Yeah. So now you got the access token. Copy this access token. Now we need to access the protected resource. For that, what we need to do is this authorization BRR token we need to pass this access token. Then I am going and using the libs OAuth profile data. So just to copy that, go and execute this. Yes, I got the profile data. So this is my all the data, all being whatever the user ID. So yeah, now like with the authorization grant, so we are able to get the profile data. So the resource owner authorized. So here I am the resource owner. I authorized it. Then I got the code or grant using that access token. Retrieve the access token. With the access token, I retrieve the profile data. So here one things to notice. So if you see here, like when I got a response back after authorization, we go to at the end. Apart from code, there is a field called state. So state value is null. So what the state value will help you is, so if you see here, whenever you are authorize the request, whenever you are you are redirecting the user to this URL, just append a state value, like saying like test or Alvin test or whatever, so some random value. So whenever the response come back, this response, whenever it get redirected to the redirect URL with the code, that value will be there. So it will help you to make sure the data is not changed. So whatever the data you sent, and you got back the response. It is kind of maybe I can say the authenticity of the data, you can validate it. Okay, so this is now completed. So we are able to get the basic profile data. So let us see how to implement a custom scope to retrieve the DAM data. For that, what we need to do is, so create a new Java class. So this we already discussed. DAM read scope. So I created, implementing the scope with privileges. So then here the important one is the DAM resource URI. What is URI? Under that all the resources will be provided the access. So you can give the parent path for that. So now then the name. So I'm just going and giving a name called DAM underscore. This is the scope name. Then some description, then the privileges I am giving read. I am going to read the DAM. Also this privilege what you are providing should be matching with the user, which is resource owner. Like my case, I created a user with the name Alvin, so already I provided the read access there. So if that access is not matching, obviously it will not work, because this can't override the actual access. Okay, then I already deployed this, so you can configure accordingly and deploy the code. So one more thing what we need to do is we need to provide some additional access to a service user. The service user name is OAuth user. So let me go there. So go to management, this one, yeah, search for OAuth service user. So go here, so go to the permission. So you need to give some access for the specific folder, whatever you want. For me, I am working with the DAM, so I will go to DAM. I will go read. I will go and provide read. Then you have to give a modify, create. Then you need to provide read ACL and edit ACL. So this is a service user, because the actual user will be mapped to different user, OAuth user. So that will be done by this OAuth service user. So that is the reason we need to provide this access. Just click on save this. Okay, now go. Now that is ready. So what we can do is first we need to go for a authorization. So this is the URL to authorize. So what we can do is we can, here if you see the client ID, the response type is same code, then authorize, then client ID, then the scope is DAM underscore read. So redirect URI is obvious. So go and redirect the user here. Yes, if you see here, read DAM asset, authorize the request. Yes, I am okay. I'm authorizing it. Yeah, here again the code, just copy the code. So here this code you just let us replace with that. Now grant type is all fine, redirect URI is fine. I already put that client ID, client secret is all looking fine. Now what we need to do is we need to get a token for this. Just to go and execute. This is the token. Yes, we got the token. Copy this token. Now we need to retrieve this image. So for that, this is the command. Now here are the token. Then what is the URL? So hiking underscore finder, because I given a access from the EN folder, so I am downloading from the activities hiking and underscore file, and I am storing it to a hiking underscore file.jpg. Yeah, just execute this folder, this one now. Okay, now if I go back to my folder, yeah, I just created a file called hiking. Just open it. Yes, I am able to download the image. Yeah, so what we did is we create a custom scope, to read the DAM with the required privileges, and also provided the required access to this WAT service user, WAT WAT service user. So then we authorize the resource owner authorized the request. With that grant, we got the access token, and through that access token, we retrieve the image. So now now let's see how to implement a custom scope to write the DAM data, so or upload the DAM data. So for that, again, like what we need to do is we need to create another another Java class. So here again same thing, implement the scope with privileges, resource URI where I can upload, then what is the scope name, DAM underscore write, then some description, then here the privilege. If you see, we need to provide a read access JCR colon read, then repository colon write, so to upload the image. Yeah, this is the basic configuration we need to provide. Then deploy the code. So I already deployed the code. So let's see now how to use this scope. So for that, what you need to do is, yeah, so same thing. So here if you see, same URL, now I need to replace this with the client ID. Client ID, if you see the scope, it is a DAM underscore write. So other than that, everything is the same. Okay, again we need to get the authorization from the resource owner. Just click, yeah, see here, upload DAM asset. I'm saying yes, I'm okay. I'm authorizing the request. Yeah, so I got the code now. Just copy this. Now again we need to get the access token. For that, I want to replace this code. Okay, after that grant type is all fine, redirect URI is fine. Now I need to replace this client ID. Now client secret. Okay, let me go and get the authorization token now. Yes, I got it. Just to copy this again. Okay, fine. Now posting it. I have a file under this folder, block data magento.png. So then I am going and creating under en folder. So if I go to this en folder, I am not having any image for now. 1 second. Assets, go to files. Okay, go inside retail. Yeah, I'm going under that. There is no folder. So let me now execute this command. This image should be get uploaded. Okay, looks to be success. Let us go and refresh this page. Yeah, so if you see that image is uploaded. So now what we did is we create a custom scope. Then obviously already the WAT service user have enough access. Also that actual user Albin, whatever I created, have the enough access. Then we authorize the resource owner authorized it. We got the grant, then token, then we access then we uploaded the protected resource. Okay, so now now let us proceed and see how to use this offline access. So that is with the resource token. So for that, what we need to do is again we go here, so offline access. So one difference is here, offline access scope equal to offline access. Again it has to be added with another scope. So what I am going to do is I am going to access the profile data but in offline through refresh token. So these two scopes should be separated by this space character %20. Then remaining everything is same. Only thing I need is now the client ID. Let me copy the client ID maybe. Yeah, we have the client ID here. Keep it down. Okay, fine. If you see here, have offline access, also view basic information about your account. So both scopes we are authorizing. We are fine with that. Authorize. Yeah, we got the code now. So just to copy this code. Yeah, now what you need to do is again this is the URL. In this we need to same thing. You need to get a code here. The grant type, authorization code, all fine. Redirect URI, then like all are going to be same. There is no different. Only client ID and client secret I need to replace. Okay, it's fine. Now what I will do is I will go and get the offline access token. So go and execute this. Yeah, if you see here now, you have one access token here, another one is a refresh token here. So access token you can use as such what you are using it, but anyway I am going to ignore this access token. So first time you can use the access token, then going forward to get the access token you can use this refresh token. In the first scenario I am ignoring because anyway we are already seeing that. So what I am going to do is I am going to use this refresh token. Through this I will get the access token. So this can be used whenever. This refresh token is not going to be expired, but access token expire in some time, maybe it can be changed, but refresh token is valid for a long time. So using the refresh token without resource owner intervention, so you will be able to get the access token. Okay, I got the refresh token. Now this is the URL. Here if you see little difference, so you have to keep the value refresh token. So instead of earlier we used to keep the code, now I am going to keep refresh token. Then grant type also different here. If you see the grant type is a refresh token. Okay, the earlier we were using it as authorization code. Now it is a refresh token. Return URL is fine. Now client ID and client secret we need to keep. Client ID and client secret. Okay, now if I go here, one additional call here because with the refresh token I need to get the access token. Now I got the access token. How many times you want to get the access token, you can get through this refresh token. Now through this access token, now I can access the profile data because when I am authorizing, I authorized it for offline access and also for profile data. You can mix with offline access with DAM read, offline access with the DAM write, any scopes you can combine it. So now let me go here. Yes, I am able to access. So now if you want to even get it after let's say 1 hour 2 hour the profile data, so you don't want to go and get the authorization from the resource owner, through this resource offline access or refresh token you can access the data. Okay, that's fine. That concludes. Now the next one is how to use this JWT bearer token. So I already explained you what is the use case for this bearer token, JWT bearer token. This will help us to implement the server to server WART implementation. So without any resource owner intervention. So if you want to access the resources, so this can be used. So now for that what we need to do is as a first step, so go to this client definition. So if you go here you can see so this is the client definition. Just click on this. Here you will see one thing I already told, the private key of this should be, the JWT token should be encoded or signed with private key. So for that you download this private key. Just note this, so it's all keep it private, okay, because as for the demo I am showing it. So not a secret, this is the password. Download it. Yeah, that's fine. It will download a file called store.p12. So I'm just going to copy that into my convenient folder. Yeah, so this is fine. So I just downloaded. Now this is a anyway p12 file. Now I need to extract the private key and the public certificate from this. So what I will do is, so you need to execute maybe this two command, OpenSSL command. So I already installed the OpenSSL. PKCH12. So what is the input, where the output should be, then no key. So this will only take the public certificate. Just to go here, execute this. I'm in the same folder. Yes, so enter password. Whatever the password you are seeing there, not a secret. Put that. Yes, done. Now you need to take the private key also. Okay, now done. Private key also downloaded. Now what you need to do is, now you need to create a JWT token, okay, signed with this private key. So for that you can use any JWT libraries. So in the real scenario, so that library will generate the in Java or whatever, .NET or whatever. So that library will generate the JWT token with the required data and also sign with this private key. So then that JWT token can be used like for getting the access token. Here there is no resource owner intervention is involved, but this private key, whoever having the private key, they will be able to generate the JWT token, and they will be able to perform the operation against the resource server. So we need to keep this private key safely, and like whoever having the private key, they will have the access for that to work. Now let's go back. So I am going to anyhow for demo. I am not going to use any library. I will use this URL, this website jwt.io to generate the JWT token. If you go here, come down. So I need to put some header data. So this is the header data. Algorithm is going to be RS256. So this is RS256. Now here some data you need to change it in the body. So mainly audience, issuer, subject, expiry, then issued at, scope, then city, CTY. Now audience is who, what is the server URL. So you have to keep the server URL where AEM is running with for the token endpoint you need to keep it. So this is 4502. So you have to keep it correctly because this will be matched in the server. What server, like AEM server, if this URL is mismatching with the server where it is running, so it will not work. The next one is the client ID. So you need to keep the client ID here. That's the issuer. Let me copy the client ID maybe. So let me copy again, put it down. Okay, give me 1 moment. Yeah, this is the client ID. Go and keep the client ID. This is again must. Client ID will be matched there. So with the client ID only the private key, public key will be taken from the server. Now the subject, what is the user? My name is, my user is Alvin. Whatever the user you are going to keep it. Then expiry, so maybe it is in the seconds. So what you can do is current time in seconds, something you can Google, you will get it. Yeah, so yeah, I only convert into second. I take only that value. Okay, expiry, issued at, keep this. Okay, now expiry, you have to add some more value here. Random value I am adding, but you can add some seconds or something. I am just going with random. Then scope is damn read. Then CTO is code. Just copy this. Now I go to this one. Go and put this. Yeah, now we need to give the private key and public key. For that, what you do is go to this, whatever you generated, copy this private key only from this end private, begin to end. Copy this and keep it in the private key. Yeah, now it's created. So now it will show you like a invalid signature. How you will make sure that the data is valid. For that, you can utilize this public key, whatever got generated. Just edit this. Here end certificate, begin certificate, it will decode and show you. So decrypt and design. You keep it here. If you come down, signature is verified. And now your JWT token is ready. The earlier steps we were getting the JWT token from the server itself once the resource owner like authorized. But in this scenario, the server, you consider this a server. Server itself is generating and sending this token to the server, the AEM server, to get the access token. So that's what I referred. It's a server to server communication. Yeah, now I got it, that token. So I will go back. So if you see here, once that token is ready, Now again same thing. So here the parameters are little different. Assertion should be done instead of earlier code and refers token. In that parameter you keep the value whatever you receive. Now the grant type is again shown in that PPT. So this is the value. So you are it should be exactly matching, otherwise it will not work. Now then the client ID we need to keep the client ID. Now we need to keep the client secret. Okay, now that's fine. Redirect URI. This all URLs fine. Token URL. Go and get the token. Yeah, we got the access token now. Just to copy it. Okay. Replace this. Now what I'm going to do is with that DAM read. If you've seen that, I kept the scope as DAM read. So I'm going to download the same image again, maybe with a different name. Go and execute this. Yes, should be fine. Yeah, if you show here, see, the same image is downloaded. Now there is no resource owner involved in this step, if you see. So all earlier steps, resource owner was authorizing, then we are getting the code, but in this scenario, no resource owner involved. Okay, now let's see like maybe as a next one we'll see the revocation, like how to revoke a client token. So I was explaining there is multiple options. Let's see one by one. So the first one is the client revocation. So that means like it will revoke all the access tokens specific to a client. Obviously this can be performed by the user who created or who owning that client app. Okay, for that what we need to do is first we need to enable that revocation option. So for that what we do is go to system console, search for, okay, go back to OSCI configuration. Okay, search for Adobe Granite Auth client token revocation endpoint. By default it's not enabled, just to click active. Yeah, that's fine. Now go back to this client definition. Now you see here there is only two options, delete and download private key. But if I refresh now, after enabling that, you see one revoke all tokens. But anyway, I am not going to revoke this token for now, because if all the token will be revoked, then I need to re-generate the token for next scenario. I will keep it here. We will come back here. Yeah, this is the one first option. Now the next option is like revoke the specific token. So for that what we do is we need to enable again. So go back to this one. So search for Adobe Granite Auth token revocation endpoint. So just to go with this. Yeah, see, just to click active. Now fine. Now what you do is go back here. Now go back to, okay, I will leave this as such. I will not touch this. I will go back here. Okay, go to security only. So now if you see here, there is one option called Auth tokens. So if you go inside, yeah, you can see there is a token. Yeah, one token, but this will not show you the token ID. That is another one problem. So it will not show you the token ID. So but it will just show you the name and when it is this one. So what you can do is you will be able to just say revoke this token. Yeah, so sometimes it's not working from this page. Maybe you can open this and revoke from here. Yeah, so revoke. Yeah, the token is revoked. So now, like, yes, that's fine. Now let's go to the third option. Now we need to revoke it from the external client. Let's see how to do that. So for that what we need to do is we need to again enable the option. So what we do is like go to that again go back to system console, search for Adobe revocation endpoint. Just open this. See here, Yeah, servlet path is there and active. Just select this. Now this is fine. So now I need to, now I am not finding any token maybe. So what I will do is I will generate a token maybe. For that what I will do is maybe even this option is fine. I will go with this option. I will get the access token first. Existing one scenario I will use it. Fine, I will take this. It should be okay, but let me perform the operation also. Okay, fine. Now if I go back here, I should be having a token. If I go back, yeah, I have a token. So now through client, whenever you are revoking, you can use the token ID itself, if you know that. So just to copy this, this is my token ID. So yeah, here token, replace that with that. Obviously the URL is this endpoint revoke. Now yeah, here one more thing, I am just providing my username password. So even this also you can make it as a like what scope. You can develop a custom scope instead of providing this. Then you can provide the bearer. Anyway, I'm just going with the credential. So I've given my credentials, album, whatever. Now if I go and execute this, yeah, looks to be there is a problem. Looks to be my user may not be having the access for that. We'll go with the admin user. Maybe that will work. Try again. Yes, that was the problem. My user did not have the access. Okay, fine. Yeah, now like what we can do is maybe one first option we've seen the revoke all token. So now anyway no token is there, but if you want to revoke all the token under this client, whatever issued under this client, and just click on this revoke. Yeah, so looks to be that old tokens were there. So tick 6 tokens removed. Okay, so this concludes that revocation, how we can perform. So also this concludes the complete demo. So we have seen how to use different grant types and how to use the default scope, and also how to create a custom scope, and how to revoke the tokens. Then we seen how to register the user, how to enable the authentication handler and user access, and setting the user access for service user. So maybe one more thing to note here is that access token expiry time. So by default the access token expire in 3600 seconds on 1 hour. If required, we can change that expiry time to some higher value. So that can be done through the system console. Just to search for Adobe Granite WARP token endpoint. So go to this, search for Adobe Granite WARP token endpoint. Yeah, if you see here, this is 3000 here, 600. If you want, you just change it to this one, 3000, whatever the value, 600. But now if you go here, see, if you can see here the previous responses. Okay, it's too much, I think. Yeah, if you see here 3600, but now I want to do that again. Maybe let us get one more this thing. Yeah, now I will go and get it. So if you see the value change, now it is valid for 3000. Yeah, this is 36,000 seconds. Okay, so that's all for today. Thanks all for watching the video. See you in the next video.